Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday morning story time here at the Lewis County Public Library and Archives. I'm Miss Jamie and I hope that you are having a wonderful day today. Today we are going to be looking at some people who create things. So the first book we're going to be reading today is Rosie Revere, Engineer by Andrea Beatty, illustrated by David Roberts. There we go. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom in Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. There's Rosie. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Oh, goodness, look at everything she's built. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. There he is, he's floating away. The uncle she loved most was zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head. From parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps pythons away. And when she was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. "I love it," Fred hooted. "Oh, I truly do." But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf and after that day kept her dreams to herself. And that's how it went until one autumn day her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked in the sky. "The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams." All night as Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese copter out to the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The helio cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see. The old woman was laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer." She turned round to leave, but then great-great-aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try! This great flop is over! It's time for the next!" Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. "I failed, said dear Rosie. It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed. Yes, said her great aunt. It crashed, that's true. But first it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, and this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. The end. Wonderful, wonderful. You need to remember, no matter how many times you fail, it's important that you try again. Well, you know what time it is, everyone. It's time for the more we get together. So get your hands shaken out, get them all loosey-goosey. Here we go. The more we get together, together, the more we get together, the happier we'll be. 'Cause your friends are my friends and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. The more we read together, together, the more we read together, the happier we'll be. 'Cause your books are my books and my books are your books. The more we read together, the happier we'll be. Good job, good job. Now let's learn about a real person. Now, what we have to thank and start for the technology that we're using right now for you to be able to watch this video is all thanks to a great engineer from a long, long time ago called Ada Lovelace. This is Ada Lovelace, written by Madame Isabel Sanchez Vergara, illustrated by Zafuku Yamamoto. Isn't she just so cute? I love this book series. Okay. Ada Lovelace was born in England to a mother who loved math and a father who loved poetry. Ada's father left England when she was very little and never returned. Her mother was away a lot too. So young Ada spent a lot of time at her grandparents' house. A cat named Mrs. Puff kept her company. There's her kitty cat. Left alone, Ada's imagination took flight. She started to dream of machines with wings that could move in any direction. When Ada's mother came to visit, she didn't like her imaginary inventions. She wanted her to concentrate on math and logic, and nothing else. Luckily, Ada liked numbers and was very good at solving mathematical problems. There's all of her math with her cat. When she was 14, Ada became sick. She had to spend a lot of time resting in bed, but she kept studying, inventing, and dreaming. After 3 long years, Ada got better. She went to London and was introduced to a famous mathematician named Charles Babbage. There they are. Mr. Babbage told Ada he was building a big machine that could add together sums. It was called a calculator. The calculator could do sums so quickly it was like magic. Most people couldn't understand how it worked, but Ada was fascinated. Ada thought she could use math to make the calculator do even more amazing things. She wrote a code made up of numbers that would tell the calculator what to do. See all of her different codes in the back? Ada didn't know it, but she had just invented the language that computers use today. Little Ada, who loved both numbers and poetry, had become the world's first computer programmer. She showed that when you use science and imagination, your dreams take flight. The end. Oh, so exciting! Who knew that a woman was the first computer programmer? And her name was Ada Lovelace. Okay, now let's sing an old storytime classic called Down by the Bay. Are you ready? Down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go, for if I do, my mother will say. Have you ever seen a bear combing his hair? Down by the bay, down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go, for if I do, my mother will say. Did you ever see a whale wagging its tail? Down by the bay, down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go, for if I do, my mother will say. Did you ever see a fly wearing a tie? Down by the bay, down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go, for if I do, my mother will say. Did you ever see a moose kissing a goose? Down by the bay, down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go, for if I do, my mother will say. Did you ever have a time when you couldn't think of a rhyme? Down by the bay. Good job, good job. Well, we are glad everyone could join us today. Keep an eye out. It's starting to get warmer out there. Hopefully it will be warm enough that we can start having outdoor story time again. So keep an eye out on the weather and our Facebook page, and we will try to plan an outdoor story time event here again soon. But for now, we hope that you all have a wonderful week. And if you would want to learn more about computers, engineering, or Ada Lovelace, feel free to come down to the library and we can show you some of the resources that we have here and some of the resources that you can access from home. But for now, goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. Goodbye, my friends. See you next time.